Hey everybody, it's Alex from Jones Strategic Consulting. And in this video, I want to talk a little bit about what do you do if your power goes out? How can you cook when your power goes out? Now, this is not so trivial and I don't want you to get overwhelmed by it. But what I'm going to show you, these few items that you will need to cook, will probably save your life and make your quality of life a little bit better during a disaster, okay? So, the first thing you're going to need is a camp stove, literally a camp stove, okay? Now, what I have here is a camp stove, all right? And please disregard that this is pretty dirty. I actually use my equipment, but this is a camp stove. You can go to any sporting goods store or retail outlet that sells outdoor equipment and probably find one of these, okay? These are pretty durable. You're going to need some gas to operate it, which I'll talk about here in a minute, but you need a stove, okay? You need something that's going to be able to produce some heat in a manner that will allow you to cook food or boil water or whatever it may be, okay? So the first thing is going to be a camp stove, and here is where your heat comes from. It looks just like the eye of a gas stove for the most part, right? Now the next item you're going to need is, of course, propane, camping gas. Now this stuff is like gold to me. I own a lot of them because I have to operate certain pieces of equipment just on this little gas thing alone. Now, if you have bigger bottles of propane, I suggest you find the correct connection that goes into the camp stove, or you can have a bigger bottle. But for the most part, to make it simpler, just go get you a nice little green bottle or any kind of propane camping gas that you can use to turn this stove on, okay? Now, the next item you should have is a stand to put your, it should be a universal stand, but usually these bottles have has a universal kind of circumference. But you definitely want a stand which is universal that is supposed to be geared towards using these bottles, okay? So this is a universal stand. You can sit the stand down like this and you can put it in there like that, but this one is pretty cool where you can actually fan out what we call the stable legs of this thing, right? So it kind of looks like a little Christmas tree base, right? So you would put this here and you would take the bottle and you would sit it in here and the stove will go on top, okay? Now, to start the process, I'm going to show you really quick how you can actually hook this stuff up. Now, at the very bottom, you have a port, or you have a screw-in portion right here that you can screw in. Not sure if you can see it from the video, where you can screw in your propane gas into this area right here, okay? So before you can even put it on the stand, the best thing you can do is make sure that it's turned off, right? This one, all knobs they may look different, but this one has a plus and a minus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the knob towards the minus and make sure that it's snug and it's turned off. If not, the moment you put the propane into this, there's going to be gas seeping out of this, and that can be very dangerous, okay? So I'm going to put this in. I've made sure that it's turned off. I'm going to screw it in. This one is pretty empty. I'm using it for demonstration purposes, but you may hear the gas, a little bit of gas that's in there, come through once the barrier breaks, okay? So once you got it in here, once you got the propane in here, everything's secure, then you can just sit it on the stand, okay? Just like that. Now, this knob, not sure if you can see it, but this knob right here, now if I turn it towards the plus sign, the gas is going to start to emit from this particular propane tank into the stove. Now, you would need a blowtorch. You would need a torch or a lighter or some matches to actually light it, just like you would do a gas stove, okay? So once you light it, it should ignite, woof, should ignite, and it should keep a pretty steady fire going on to the eye. Now you can make the fire lower or you can make it higher, whatever you desire, but just make sure that you're being safe and you're not putting this around areas that are going to harm other people or hurt or be able to damage structure. Okay, so once you got this, you should be able to cook food, boil water. I use it camping. I've cooked lots of trout on this stove. Make sure you have some stainless steel equipment, whether it be your cooking utensils, your eating utensils, and actually the pans or pots that you're actually going to put in here. Make sure that it's durable and is rated for fire. All right, don't go and put plastic bowls onto this piece of equipment. All right, but this is the item that I'm going to highly suggest, or these are the few items that I'm going to highly suggest that if you are new and you're beginning or you're a beginner to disaster preparedness, get a camp stove and everything that comes with it. You will need it if your power goes out during a natural disaster. So with that being said, y'all stay safe, stay vigilant.